Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of Draft to Glory Goon Squad. And today, well, yet again, we have our sights set not only on regular season success, but on postseason success, which didn't exactly happen for us last time out. Last season, of course, we won the President's Trophy only to get our teeth kicked in by the Nashville Predators. And before we get in to the season sim today, we, of course, had a couple of decisions to make regarding certain players. I'd say most notably with the goaltenders, that being Norena and Brooks. Who stays and who goes? Now, the comment section, it was a little bit split. There might have been a bit more support for Norena, but it was close enough that I feel like I have to go with my gut and what I would have gone with had you guys really been like true 50-50, which you might as well have been. That said, I think Norena has to be the one to go for the sole reason that, of course, I made that mistake of leaving the morale system on. Had we not done that, then yes, of course, Norena stays. This team would look relatively different. I mean, the cap space, the salary cap is still going to take an effect on the series, but needless to say, this team would look a little bit different if the morale system wasn't on. Norena being 22, high starter, he is only going to continue to improve. Both he and Brooks are actually only 82s. They're up to 83s due to the morale system, due to statistical growth. So he's only going to get better, which could cause issues. And that's not the only spot where we're worried about the morale system affecting this team. Unfortunately, I didn't notice this. I'm not sure if this changed just because I reloaded the sim, recording this a few days later, recording. It's been a couple of days between recording episodes. Likens is now a second, first pairing guy, a top two defenseman. So now we have to worry about that as well, as to whether or not how that or how much that is going to affect Sebastian Kress. Not to mention, of course, Nesterov and Senkov, which we already knew about heading into this episode. And, of course, there's also the one on the fourth line as well. I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything here. It's actually the third line between Alos and Wharton. So we have a lot of different things that we got to keep our eye on and that we have to potentially worry about heading into this season. For that reason, I am going to hold off on making the decision when it comes to forwards and defensemen. I want to see how that whole situation plays out. But unfortunately, we kind of know that we can't send Norena or Brooks down to the AHL. And when it comes to my decision to trade away Norena, I view it like this. Now, you could argue Norena might not have had as good of a team in front of him. It is tough to tell. You look at Brooks' track record over the past 3 seasons, he has been incredible. But the main thing, heading in to the NHL, you could tell, like right here, these appearances, these first 3 seasons, there's a pretty bad team in front of him. But after that, and including his 1 season as a starter in the AHL, he was dominant. He was spectacular for the San Diego Gulls. Whereas you look at Norena, not as impressive in his only 2 seasons. Of course, he didn't spend any time as the backup. He was just straight into that starting role. Last season, of course, we kind of took a step back. But the season before that, we still had veterans on that team like Burnett on defense. So I'm not as sold. We know he's going to get better. It's going to cause morale issues. It is simply easier to get rid of Norena. Now, he was a first-round pick. I am going to do the straight 1-for-1, although I would prefer to send him out to the Eastern Conference. I am going to do the straight 1-for-1 with the best pick we can possibly get. So, needless to say, if we do get this first-round pick from Detroit, which we did, that could end up being fairly decent. Now, that's how I've always handled it, as opposed to missing with all those 3rd, 4th, and 5th-round picks, and we just send them all for 1/7. We, at the very least, hit on that pick when we chose Norena, and we at least got something back for him that wasn't, it doesn't make that pick a complete loss by the end of it. Whether or not that pick ends up doing well for us, we'll see. It certainly sucks to have to get rid of Norena in the first place, but like I said, I feel like it had to be done, and that might not be the only unfortunate move that we have to make. These are the line combinations heading in to this season. We went with best lines. It puts Kress on the second line with Nesterov. Again, we have to really keep an eye out for numerous morale crises on this team. Not to mention, we do have a couple of scratched players at the AHL level. We have no choice but to keep them on this team just in case things go poorly with the NHL team and we have to trade away some players. So we will slowly but surely make our way to the deadline. I'm intrigued to see what this team can do. I've said it for the past couple of seasons. I'm not exactly sure how things will play out for us. Last season, I mean, really the season before that as well, I think we did better than expected. We certainly did better than I thought we would have last year, winning the President's Trophy. But of course, as previously mentioned, and I don't know if I'm quite over it yet, but as previously mentioned, it didn't exactly translate into postseason success. So we will see how this goes. I am not exactly scared in terms of potentially missing the playoffs. I would like to think that this team is good enough to do just that. It's what this team looks like by December, by the trade deadline, by the playoffs. Who are we going to lose, if anybody? If we can keep this team together, I'd say we're in a pretty good spot. I'm going to wait until after the trade deadline to worry about mid-season re-signings, because as you would have seen when I was looking at, say, Likens and everybody else there, we have some big contracts coming up. We are, again, closing in on another very crucial point in time for our franchise, for this series, where we might lose some old faces. But let's take a look here at the player morale. I don't care about recent individual performance. That is what it is. Is anybody complaining about ice time? Not yet. Alos is the one that we're more worried about there. On defense, nobody complaining yet. No one's complaining yet. It's a pretty good sign for us. Hopefully that continues. If it does, we will trade away that extra bit of depth, like that minor little bit of depth, medium top 9 forwards. I think we have one extra medium top 6 defenseman. Players like that will be moved out before the deadline. We'll focus on the re-sign phase, and we should very well get to the postseason in this episode. I'd like to think so. Unless something drastically changes, we will be getting to the postseason in this episode. A little bit of a downward stretch here, though, to begin the month of November. Not exactly ideal. Taking a look at the Gulls' record as well, 11-6-3. Can they get back to the postseason? I haven't really optimized their lineup all that well, aside from just making sure that it's nothing but our prospects in that lineup. The goaltending is still decent. The defense is looking pretty good. It's mainly their ability to score goals that I would be a little bit concerned about. But as we hit December 1st, this game against Chicago, we're up to 16-7-3. We'll quickly take a look again. I haven't seen anything at the top of the screen while simming as Kaufman's leading this team in points, but we are down into second place in our division. The Vegas Golden Knights have jumped us. Let's take a look here. I'm also trying to make sure that none of the player roles have changed. They haven't. Alos has not complained about ice time, so that's solid. What about Kress? No complaints about ice time, and no complaints about ice time. So mainly it's just down, mainly just the morale is down due to player performance. As Brodin's having a decent season. Brooks he hasn't played much, but he's done very well in his limited appearances. So we will continue on. Onward through the regular season, the last month of 2034. 2034. Man. How much longer do we have, by the way? Just because I don't feel like doing the math. We start off in 2017-18. I mean, we still have a little bit of a ways to go if we were to go the full, the full stretch and go until the final year that we possibly can, which is 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. I will admit, I am recording this at, 6:44 in the morning. Because, as I think I mentioned in videos that I had set up for the weekend, although I didn't have an upload on Sunday, and I apologize for that. Sunday was a weird day for me. But as I think I mentioned there, had a busy weekend. Sunday turned into a bit more of a, I wouldn't call it a lazy day per se, although I did not get anything done. So I guess it technically was. But yeah, I don't know what my point is. I haven't been up for too long, but damn it, I gotta jump on the grind. I gotta keep up the grind. I gotta get to it. I gotta get these videos up for today. I gotta stream at some point today. I gotta stop screwing up. I gotta be more consistent. Oh boy, early morning ramblings. It's the best. Alos is up to an 83. He is not complaining about his ice time. Likens wouldn't complain. Kress would, and he isn't. And Afanasenkov, not complaining, but he's having a terrible season, apparently. He's at -2. It's not ideal, but so far so good when it comes to certain players not being happy with their ice time. The power play and the penalty kill certainly helps out. Actually, I was surprised. Best Lines set it up pretty well for me, so I didn't really have to worry about it. So, January 1st, we have a winning record. The team is looking okay. We'll see what happens from this point on. The Gulls are doing all right, picking up some wins here and there, up to 21 on the season. I can't help but wonder if I'm just going to be throwing that curveball at the last second, where the entire season, everyone's fine. No complaints about ice time. And then we get to the next day, like the day after the deadline, you know someone's going to complain about ice time. You know it. Just to throw me that curveball, in which case I won't be able to do anything about it, but hey, at least we'll have our team together for the postseason, right? That is what matters, I do suppose. We are in a battle with the San Jose Sharks, the Pacific Division, looking particularly competitive this year. Goal scoring for us seems to be down just a little bit, with Sivan leading the way. I don't care much about the points. I care more about whether or not someone's changed in role. I care about whether or not Alos is upset about ice time, which he isn't. I think we're good, though. What about Kress? He's all right with it. And Afanasenkov. He is also okay with it. My one concern is having to pay Likens, McDonough, and Kress, not to mention Nestorov. You know, we might not be forced to make deals based on the morale system, but we might be forced to make some deals here based off of the salary cap. So let's take a look at the upcoming contracts, who is willing to accept an extension and who isn't, and whether or not we might have to move certain people out anyway, which obviously is not ideal. So for goaltending, it's just Tulipov. He's an RFA. We could sign him now, but I'm not worried about RFAs. McDonough does not want to sign an extension. Oh boy, Freddie. Neither does Kress. All right. And he's asking for $12 million. $12 million without being able to get a discount, if not having to pay him more than that. Kress wants 9. Nestorov wants 7. Imagine having a defense core that costs that much money. I don't think that's possible for us to maintain, really. And then looking at forwards, Nolan Foote still doesn't want to sign that extension. Sivan, Nestorov doesn't want to sign the extension. How much money did we have to work with? $60 million? That's not bad. But, shoosh, I don't know how we're gonna pull this off. I guess here, you know what? Let's bring up ye old calculator app on the PC, and let's figure this out. Let's play it safe. So, say for McDonough, it's gonna cost us 12.8. I want to sign him for at least 4 years, I'd say. So yeah, we'll say 12.8 for McDonough. For Kress, he doesn't want to re-sign. I'm going to say 9.75 to keep him. What about Nestorov? Again, he didn't want to sign the extension. I'm thinking for him it's going to be 7.5. You see my concern here, as just between those three players, we are up to $30 million. And that's if they accept the slightly more expensive deals. Oh my god. Sivan, let's say 9.75. I don't think 9.5 would be enough. Green, did he want to sign the extension? He does. So you know what, we won't worry about him for the moment. Nolan Foote didn't want to sign the extension. Oh my god. So let's say 10.5. Yeah, we're going to need to make moves. We are going to need to make moves. So we are up to an ungodly amount of money. I don't know. Maybe? Actually, maybe we can afford it. Maybe we can. It's going to be close. And it's not going to be easy. But we might be able to hold on to everybody here. But we know that signing some of these contracts, it's going to come back to haunt us. No doubt about it. Right. You know what? Let's start negotiations now before we even get to the deadline. 6 years for Freddie. I don't feel good about that. I'd more prefer 4 years, and I'm going to offer him $12.75, which is ridiculous. There might even be some argument to maybe even trade him just to get a first overall pick, if not like a guaranteed first overall pick. We'll see if he accepts that. Nolan's up next. Again, he doesn't want to accept. Now, with McDonough, I could have done the 1 year deal, but I was kind of hoping with Nolan that he'd be willing to sign an extension after doing the 1 year deal, and he hasn't been. So that's the unfortunate bit, but I am still only going to offer him 1 year. I'm going to go up to 10.4. Sebastian Kress. 5 years for him, I am okay with. Be honest, the longer the deal, the better. Let's see, I mean, I could go 7 years. That'd bring him up to 35 years old. I'm alright with that. That's a rough contract to be handing him, but it might work out. What if I go 8.75 for 7 years? I'm going to bring him straight to 35 years old. That'll give him the term that he wants. Sivan. 7 years. Jesus. I mean, I'm kind of alright with the idea, though. I mean, well, screw it. I mean, if you want 7 years, I might as well give you the 8 and hope that you'll accept a $9.4 million offer. Nesterov. Again, none of our bigger players wanted to re-sign. Nesterov. Well, I mean, 34, 30, yeah, we could bring him up to 35 years old. I don't really think he's worth that, and I'm not sure how movable of a deal that is. Huh. It would bring him up to 35, though. Maybe go 6.4 over 8 years. I'm just basically trying to make sure I can re-sign everybody to keep this team together for this season, and then if we have to deal with the consequences of moving certain players out in the future, so be it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I can't help but wonder how tradable some of these deals will be if they're 8-year contracts, you know? I'm still going to go for it. Shit. He was the first one that was willing to accept an extension. Well, that's my fault. That is my fault. Whoops. Did I mention it's 6 in the morning? Oh, God. All right. Well, at the very least with Alos, we'll go up to, or go down to 3.225 over 3 years. I'm okay with that. He was an RFA, so, oh my God, Nesterov, what are you thinking, buddy? I know you're willing to sign an extension. What the hell are you thinking? Asking for that much money. You know what? We'll still go for it. We'll see what happens. We'll move certain people out, like I mentioned, if we have to. 1 year at $6 million for a top 4 defenseman. Yikes. Green. What is Green willing to do here? Let's see. We'll knock that down to 1.75. It's a fair enough deal. Gustafson, of course, he's rebounded relatively well. I haven't checked his stats for this season, but that's okay. 1.65 for you, good sir. Nabokov, also someone who's rebounded relatively well. If it's a one-way deal, I will absolutely look to save money on it. especially considering some of the contracts we are potentially handing out. Two-way deal for Fleury. What about Pandolfo? Good Lord, man. You haven't even played an NHL game yet. What about 1 year at 115? Would be a pretty good deal for us. Just, getting someone who will probably crack the top four or, the fourth line next year. Oh boy, these guys wanting to get paid before they've played an NHL game, it's kind of an issue. Now, of course, I could just qualify them and wait for an offer to roll in through free agency. That is an option. But we'll send him the offer here. Sanderson isn't going to screw me over as well, so that's good. What about Polasek? He is, though. Great. Well, again, 1 year deal. Try to knock this price down as much as we can. 1125 is the answer for that. McTaggart, I swear to God, if he asked for a one-way deal, I would have had to maybe go on another rant about this game, and we'll also re-sign McCann. So we're looking all right. It's a risky move, certainly, to do what I'm doing right now and just trying to re-sign everybody. We should, though, unless my maths were way the hell off, we should have enough to re-sign everybody. It's just a matter of whether or not some of those contracts are wise to sign, and potentially whether or not they'll be movable in the future. I'm not sure. I haven't really offered out too many 8-year deals, but then again, I haven't exactly had a series like Draft Glory this year, so it's been a little bit different. Alos has accepted, which is nice. Baumgartner, Polasek, McTaggart, someone else, Green, Fleury, Sanderson, McCann, Gustafsson, Nabokov, Nestorov, Pandolfo rejected. Tulipov is back, and now we'll get to the big boys. Wharton is back. McDonough, Foote, Kress, Nestorov, Sivan have all accepted. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. Let's double check here what the current situation is looking like. The only player left was Pandolfo. What do we have? Yikes. He's an RFA, though. We had just enough money to make this happen. I mean, just. That is insane. If I look at my cap space for next season, it does say we'll end up having 6.2 or 6.12. For now, this team is all right. We just can't do anything about Pandolfo. We don't necessarily have to worry about that right now, though. Again, he's an RFA. Everyone else re-signed. So I think the goal for right now is to just continue along the same path we are currently on. That being keeping this team together, hoping that this is the year, and more than likely, we will have to be saying we will have to say goodbye to some old faces, some very familiar faces from within the series at a certain point in the near future. But for now, we're looking all right. Up to 31 wins on the year. The Gulls with 26. Of course, I'm going to stop at the deadline. We'll take one more look at the player morale, and then we'll get rid of whatever depth guys that we don't necessarily need. Ones that we signed just in case, like those lower ranking guys that we signed just in case we had to move out certain people. That way we at least had prospects that were under contract to us getting that ice time down in San Diego. Let's see, 36 wins now, 32 for the Gulls. Both teams are on a relatively decent pace. Let's take a look here. The final two games, Calgary and Nashville. We split those, and that brings us to deadline day. Coincidentally, also Rusev Day. Sivan, 45 points, 24 goals leading the way, and we have a 4-point lead on the Sharks with 19 games to go in the season. So again, it is a neck-and-neck race. Nolan Foote has dropped to a second-line player. Obviously, that's concerning. He's 34 years old now as well. No one else has progressed. Alos is still okay with the fourth line time. On defense, everyone's still top 2. Kress is alright with the lack of ice time, as is Afanasenkov. The goaltenders, are, well, Brooks has dropped off a little bit. Brodin's still doing well. Only 7 appearances for Brooks, despite the fact that we do have auto-rotate on. That's somewhat surprising. I wish it was like FHM, where you could kind of set certain parameters as to how often your backup gets to play. Tulipov and Acker. Well, Tulipov's doing all right. Acker's having a somewhat slow start. And no one's up to a top 6 defenseman just yet. So with defense, we have Andy Redenbach that we'd want to get rid of. Grabeshkov and Afanasenkov, as well as Kozlov, are not ours. So I think Redenbach will be going out. The question is, who else is worth signing? Let's see, we got a low top 6, a medium top 9. And McTaggart, another medium top 9 there. The high bottom 6, Ennis. Let's say we drop down Nabokov. Did I just move up a medium top 9? I didn't. So we'll say Cashman's alright. When talking about players we could move out, we could get rid of the veterans in Fleury and Nabokov. Or we could get rid of the medium top 9s, particularly Baumgartner. I mean, he and McTaggart are both really destined to be in that Fleury, Nabokov kind of range. So who is currently scratched? Berard's medium top 9, Setaguchi's medium top 9, good old Jolie. Might be worth getting in the lineup though. So it's just a couple of medium top 9 players for the most part. How's Fleury doing? He's doing alright. Nabokov is also okay. I don't want to break up this team too much. But Baumgartner, 23, medium top 9. Jolie, 20 years old, low top 6, 64 overall. I think I'm just going to keep this team together, and we're going to get rid of the depth players that are currently healthy scratches. So it's going to be Redenbach, Berard, Setaguchi, and Lee. Redenbach, Berard, Setaguchi, and Lee that get moved out. Otherwise, the team stays together for the moment. Whether or not, again, we have to make certain moves after this season, I mean, it's pretty much a guarantee. As far as the one RFA we have left in Pandolfo, I can allow him to go to free agency, trade someone away if we don't have the cap space at that point in time, and then, of course, we just make sure that we re-sign him. So Redenbach. Of course, yeah, see, like we have Castonguay. What? How is this guy an 80? What the hell? Okay, nope, you know what? Let's stay composed. Let's breathe, let's stay composed. Do what you were going to do first. And then we'll focus on that. So you know what? I'm gonna get rid of Perez. It was Berard. Oh god, Berard. Do I want to keep Lee? I feel like I kind of do. But he's 64. Yeah. Berard, Lee. Who else? Who else was it? I don't remember. It wasn't Baumgartner, Fleury, Ennis. It was Setaguchi. That's who it was. So Berard, Setaguchi, Lee, Perez, and that defenseman. I'm just going to move them out. 4 of them are under contract. Where can we move them? Tampa might be the only choice. Again, we're just going to move them out for a 7th. Not getting anything back for that, which is unfortunate. They were some decent prospects, but they were below, of course, players that we already have. Now, let's look at that former 7th round pick of a defenseman who apparently has made some ridiculous strides towards being an NHL player. Let's take a look here. Oh my god. Alright. That makes me feel a lot better about the draft that he came from. 19 years old, low elite potential. Now here's the thing, he is going to be very close to his ceiling already. I don't think he'll get much better. We'll see, time will tell. We know that these low elites love to make these drastic improvements, but 19 points from a 61 to an 80, a legit 80 overall. That is unreal. Now the reason we didn't sign him is he's Canadian, so we wouldn't be able to play him down in the AHL. And there's really no point in trying to play him in the NHL. But had we needed to move out a defenseman, I mean, there you go. There would have been that replacement. It would have been pretty perfect. So that said, with that, bit of good news combined with being able to re-sign certain players, keeping certain players happy, despite them not exactly getting the amount of ice time that they may have wanted, we are good to go. Let's sim through the rest of this season. Of course, we have a big game coming up against the Sharks on the 12th. We're on a pretty good run heading into that, and we beat the Sharks as well to keep our point streak alive, although it does end against the Arizona Coyotes in the next game. We also drop points to Vancouver and LA. All right, let's not do this. We've lost 4 out of our last 5 after beating the Sharks. So oh my God, guys, can we please not? What is happening? A tale of 2 different weeks. Or I mean, the first 2 weeks of the month, perfect. The last 2 weeks of the month, we may have thrown away our chance at home ice advantage in the first round. We finished the season with a 47-22-13 record, 40-32-10 for the Gulls in the AHL. We'll see if they have made the playoffs. It might be close. I didn't see anything at the top of the screen, in fairness. As yet again, despite some struggles down the stretch, your Anaheim Ducks, the Goon squad, have another division title. Now, I mean, that's quite an accomplishment considering 4 teams finished with over 100 points. It's been a murderer's row of a division this season. And down in the AHL, will the Gulls make it? Yes, they will. On tiebreaker, I do believe. But the Gulls have made it via the wild card. So both teams are back in the postseason. We didn't take the conference. It went to Minnesota. But we'll take a quick look here as we finished, of course, like I said, with 47 wins. The 3rd best record in the league. Although we were tied in points, we could have easily taken it. Had we not lost so many games down the stretch, we would have won yet another President's Trophy, which is pretty damn crazy. Taking a look here, it looked like goal scoring was a weak spot for us, but we did finish with the 3rd highest goals for per game average. Our goals against was not the league's lowest, but we were one of 4 teams with that number being below a 2.0. We were 4th best with a 1.98. Our power play at 20.8% was good for 3rd best in the league, and our penalty kill at 82% was closer to the bottom of the league, which is surprising. That just goes to show, particularly with Edmonton, oh my God, that there was a strong bit of penalty killing this season from most teams, which, adding to the fact that we had a pretty strong power play, I feel all right about. Taking a look at the point totals here, and actually, you know what, let's just look at entire league quickly, as it was D'Agostini, and I just noticed Jay Graves. That trade's going to haunt me for a very, very long time. I want to look at this from the edit lines menu. I like that better. Slightly easier. I mean, it's easy regardless, but slightly easier to look at career stats if I need to. We'll start off with Nolan Foote. 14 goals, 45 assists, a plus 26. That is a career high in assists and a career high in points. Nolan Foote. Maybe a career high in points, actually. Some of the stats are off the page. I'm pretty sure he's broken 60. But still, despite being an aging veteran at this point, 59 points, his highest total in a decade. I will take it. We look at Glenn McNabb, 5 goals, 49 assists, 54 points, but a new career high in assists, so that's not too bad. And Michael Sevan, 34 goals, a new career high, 60 points, not a career high. He had 65 last year, but still 34 goals. He's stepping up, being the goal scorer of that line, which he needs to be. Maxim Nesterov, 12 goals, 37 assists, good for 49 points. He had 56 last year, so is he worth the $5 to $7 million that we're going to be paying him? No, not really. Kaufman, 24 goals, 31 helpers, 55 points. Again, good for 50 points, not a career high, but I will gladly take that production. And then Marty Dick, now 27 years old, 17 goals, 23 assists. Good for 40 points. Again, not a career high, but I'll take it. Although, that is, actually, it's at least a return to form in terms of goal scoring, after he put up 22 in his sophomore year. Third line, Koski Ranta, 18 goals, 21 helpers, good for 39 points. That is a new career high at the NHL level. We look at Jonas Wharton, 7 goals, 24 helpers, only 31 points, but he is good for 30 points every year, which I can appreciate. And Cedric Horkoff, 18 and 28, good for 46 points. Not too bad. Not too bad. 18 goals, I'll take that. Gustafsson, good for 26 points this year. Would have liked him to have approached 30 again, but what are you going to do? Neil Alos, 11 goals, 18 helpers, good for 29 points in his sophomore year. And Neil Green, 6 goals, 27 assists, 33 points. That is an NHL career high. Of course, he broke the number that he had set last year with 30 points. For defense, 4 goals, 11 assists, a plus 37 for McDonough. Clinton Likens, 11 goals, 18 assists, 44 in terms of plus minus. So he replaced Kress, and he did pretty well with that extra time working with Frederick McDonough. Can do that for a player, though. Kress with 12 points, 5 for Nestorov, and Cullimore had the 1 goal, that was it. Afanasenkov, 3 points as well. The goaltenders, let's take a look here. Marcus Brodin played 71, or at least had 71 appearances, 41 wins, a .933 save percentage, a 1.9 GAA with 9 shutouts. You take a look, though. Again, solid save percentage, a few more wins, he had a few more losses this year as compared to last. Same goals against average, just about the same save percentage, though, so not a bad season from him. And Tom Brooks, we were a little bit concerned about him, but he ends up finishing with a .939, 3 shutouts in 12 appearances. So while the game's not using him all that much, he has proven to be quite effective as the backup goaltender. Of course, Tulipov will be pushing to take that spot next year. He had a .918 for the AHL squad that, of course, made the playoffs. And actually, we might want to optimize these lines a little bit for the upcoming postseason run. 73, medium top 6. You know what? Let's put Shing there. Let's set up this team a little bit. Like I said, for this playoff run, hopefully we can find some success. Let's see. Sanderson didn't do too badly. Actually tough to say what I'd prefer to do. Yeah, I think we'll leave it like this. That works for me. And defense, Pecker and Wilcox both up to 79. So there will be some defensive help. Odds are we are going to have to make changes to the defense, in particular, just because of the amount of money that is currently being spent to keep this defense intact. But because of the progression of certain prospects, while we're going to have a weaker defense on paper and a younger defense on paper, we're still at least going to be all right as we get our confirmation of playing the Arizona Coyotes in the first round. And we will jump right into this. Let's take a look at what we are up against. And it's a pretty good team. Top line, former first overall pick Franklin Knights is with Gabriel Velarde, now 35 years old, and former Duck Earl Roach. Of course, we didn't want to pay him that ridiculous salary the Coyotes have, and did it work out for them? Good for 50 points, but of course I think we dropped him 2 years ago when he had 71 points, so he's been on a little bit of a decline, but still another old face that could come back to haunt us. Second line is Alexis Lafreniere, former first-round pick of the Calgary Flames in 2020. He is a first-line player with Travis Watson and Jordan Graham on that second line. Third line, we get to Jerome Gauthier, who is with Jose Muir? Jose! And Robert Clefbaum. The fourth line, Matthew Tkachuk, now 37 years old, with Elias Anderson and Xavier Zieler, former 8th overall pick. He's 21, though, so I'm surprised they don't have him in a better role. On defense, okay. Top pairing is former 2nd overall pick Jacob Byrne with Francis Homer, a familiar name from certain matchups we've had with the Colorado Avalanche. Second pairing is Justin Turnbull with Henrik Ackerlund. The third pairing is Ted Montoya, former 7th round pick, with Russell Kristanovich, former 12th overall pick by Toronto. The goaltender, that's tremendous. Oh, that's tremendous. 29-year-old, 91 overall, Gary Price. Gary Price, who had an astounding .933 save percentage this season. However, that is his first time as a starter posting over a .930. So, that could be a good sign for us. Maybe, possibly, probably not. We are facing a very solid team. Of course, we knew that. Looking at the standings, we knew this wasn't going to be an easy run. But we have to make the best of it. We've had plenty of first-round disappointments in this series. Hopefully, things will be different on this occasion. So here we go. Round 1, Game 1 against the Coyotes. Let's do this. First period, and the Yotes strike first. It's Knights getting that opening goal on Brodin. 15 shots to 6 in their favor. Second period is scoreless. They're shooting us 27-18. That puts us into a pretty rough spot. We will sim the third period. All we need is one goal to get back into it, and we can't get it. Knights gets his second goal of the game, 18 seconds into the period, and Gary Price shuts the door, 27 saves, and we find ourselves to be in a little bit of trouble, I would say. Unable to score in Game 1 on home ice against the Arizona Coyotes. Yikes. And also the Gulls lost their first game against the Bakersfield Condors. We'll jump into Game 2. You want to talk about being scared for the future of this team when we're handing these players so much money, and we've been struggling with the exception of one season to actually find postseason success. It kind of puts us into a weird mindset. First period of Game 2, and Lafreniere with the goal. We are still scoreless in this series now through 4 periods. Second period, make that 5. Earl Roach gets the goal. We are down 2-0 here in Game 2. Third period, back-to-back shutouts for Gary Price in Anaheim. 4-0 final. I am trying to be optimistic. Now, here's the thing, right? There's a little bit of performance art, we'll call it, with these episodes. You know, I try to invest myself into it to add a little bit more to it, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, it is just playing franchise mode. But I try to add a little bit of drama to this, right? And you've seen that with past playoff disappointments, but I have to say it right now, this is just more genuine anger and frustration. How is this going to happen again? I know it's only 2 games. Crazier things have happened. Trust me, as a Bruins fan, I know crazier things have happened. Oh my God. We are in severe danger here of absolutely blowing this yet again. Let's take a look at what we can do lineup-wise to maybe somehow get things going. And to be honest, I'm not sure what the answer is. I think I'm at the first thing. Nesterov to the top line, Marty to the third line, Horkoff, Kaufman, Foote, Koski, Ranta, Wharton, Marty. I feel good about that. I'm not sure how I feel about the fourth line's ability to produce, but we'll see what happens. Defense, we're reuniting Kress and McDonough, because the defense has just been getting picked apart. And Brodin needs to be better. Bottom line, we'll give Marcus a chance in Game 3 because, let's be honest, we need to play the goaltender that gives us the best chance to win. He is still that, but if he loses here and doesn't at least bump up that save percentage, we'll give Brooks the chance in what would be an elimination game in Game 4. Let's go. Game 3 in good old Glendale. All right. Can you tell how, we'll say frustrated, but how scared I am mainly that this might happen again and that we might fall short again? First period of Game 3, we finally got on the board. McNabb scores the first goal of this series for us. Only 7 shots in that first period. It was from way, way up north near the blue line. So it kind of seems like a fluke. We are trailing, though. Watson scored 18 seconds in. Turnbull was able to restore the lead. 16 shots to 7 for them in the first period. Second period is scoreless. We at least caught up in shots. Third period, this might as well be a must-win game. Can we get the win? We can't, but we can tie it and force overtime. Cedric Horkoff with the goal. We are going to overtime in Game 3. Like I said, while we'll still technically have life after this game, regardless of the result, this might as well be a must-win. Overtime. We need this. Nolan Foote. Think of the players on this team. Even guys like Koski Ranta, Wharton. These are guys that are capable of scoring goals here. We are halfway through the first overtime. If we even go to a second, which we won't. Clefbaum with the goal. The Arizona Coyotes have a 3-0 series lead on the Goon squad. This is heartbreaking. We keep finding regular season success and we keep falling apart. And it almost makes you wonder, how do we approach the rest of this series? Not this series against the Coyotes, the series in general. How do we approach this? Marcus Brodin has a 9-13. That's not good enough. We are going with Brooks. Also, props for the rhyme, I suppose. Oh, God, let's bump up Afanasenkov. I mean, I don't have the answer here. I don't have the answer. Let's be honest. We're just underperforming in the postseason yet again. It's all it comes down to. We showed in the regular season that we're a strong team. And when it comes time to put up or shut up, we just turn around and walk away and say, not worth my time. And unfortunately, the San Diego Gulls have also been eliminated by Bakersfield. So that series is actually, no, they have not. That's right. It's not best of 3. It's best of 5. What am I saying? So they still have life there, but they need to win, and we might even get confirmation here as we look to sim Game 4 that their season is over, which it might not be, which would be pretty nice because they're probably going to be our only hope as it's Game 4 in the desert. We are down 3-0. First period is scoreless. We outshot them 14-6. That's a victory for them to have not given up a goal. Second period, it's a goal apiece. Earl Roach and Maxim Nestorov. Third period, our season's on the line. Early power play opportunity is wasted. A power play chance, though. Now 5-on-3 for the Coyotes. That is somehow not capitalized on until the final moments where it's Gauthier who gets the goal on the power play. I can't understand how they had that long of a power play, and you know what? The season comes down to this. Why not? It's not working out from the in-depth options, so let's take a look in-game and see if somehow we can pull off the miracle known as just scoring on Gary Price and actually winning a game in the playoffs. I'm not sure how I feel about our chances, but we'll see what happens. 2 minutes to go. Here we are. 2 minutes to go. The whiteout in Arizona, a not often seen sight. As the Coyotes bring it in, into the corner, up to the point, it's Homer. He sends it around. Earl Roach, former Duck, here's Knights. He sends it back around. 57 seconds left. Arizona able to maintain possession and kill the clock. Turnover here, but the Coyotes will maintain possession. Byrne is in trouble. He takes a hit, and it's called a charge. No, it's called a cross-check on Neil Green. The former enforcer set to grinder. I mean, it could have been a charge. It could have been with how many strides he took. Neil Green goes to the box. He gets chirped by a fan with his face painted. That's a fate worse than death. And we have 48 seconds to make this happen. Kress is able to get the puck. It's Alos. Brodin to the bench. He finds Kress again. The shot is denied by Gary Price. Great chance there for Sebastian Kress. Empty net situation, 37.8 to go in regulation. It's McNabb and Wharton. Wharton wins the draw. McNabb for Afanasikov. He finds Likens, back for Wharton. Wharton looking for space, in trouble along the boards. Likens for McNabb. The shot goes just wide of the post. Kristanovich to Lafreniere across the red line. He'll dump it in. 21 seconds to go for the Goon squad. Trouble along the boards. Knights unable to finish it. Whoever the hell that was, unable to finish a turnbull for Lafreniere. And it's deflected in front by Knights. What a dick for stealing that goal. And that'll do it. That is the icing on the cake. Franklin Knights, his third goal. I'm not allowed to skip this replay. Oh my God. We have a few decisions to make. I know if any series of mine is going to go the full 20, 25 years, I can't remember what the hell it is right now because I'm just, I'm in a quiet rage right now. If there is any series on my channel that people want to see go the full 25 years, more than likely it will be this one. Don't bury another one. Don't make me sit here. Oh my God, yeah. Now they're just embarrassing us. 0.8 seconds to go, and now we get to sit here and watch another goal replay. If there was any series, again, that people would want to see go the distance, this is the one, but we have to decide, not like, oh, do we even want to do that? I'm fine with going the full 25 years in the series. We have to decide how we want to approach the next few seasons. We have seen the majority of the core that's still intact find success with this team. We are tremendous when it comes to regular season success. But now, over the past few years, it has been disappointment after disappointment, and people wondered why. It's like, oh man, you were so upset when you accidentally simmed past the Nashville game. I'm not going to lie, there was some genuine frustration there, because before that, we had struggled to find postseason success, and now in the aftermath of that, we are again struggling to find postseason success. As the Arizona Coyotes are moving on after sweeping the #1 team in the division. Next episode, we go into the draft. We potentially make some major series-altering changes. It's the future of this team is up in the air. We have some members of the aging core like Foote. McDonough's getting up there now. A lot of players, in their prime that we just handed some big contracts to. A lot of players, that are maybe getting a little bit past their prime, like Nolan Foote. You could argue he's not in his prime anymore, even though he was still putting up points in the regular season. It is tough to say how we should progress at this point. Because I'm honestly not sure that this is the team to do it. As of course the Gulls were eliminated way back then. I forgot to make mention of that, but after being swept out of the first round again, what do you really want me to say? Man, this is... I've always called it an imperfect science, and it definitely is. But it sucks to see some of the prime years of Marcus Brodin, Frederick McDonough, some surefire Hall of Famers for our channel's history. It sucks to see this happen, as Brodin is down to a 90, still playing like a 92 though. Of course, you can take a look at certain improvements like Likens or whatever. I'd care more about green stats, the actual improvements. Tambellini is up to an 80. He'll be pushing for a third to fourth line spot. Next season, Wilcox is up to a 79. The Bokhoff is still a 78. In the system, Castonguay improved 20 points. He'll be an NHLer next year. Tulipov's an 80. Polasek went up by 1. Ennis and Shing had some improvement, as did Cashman. 4 points for Isaac Robinson, who spent the season unsigned. Plant went up by 3. Orpik by 2. And Josephson, the other goaltender that we currently have, who, let's be honest, he's not going to make it, also went up by 2. I'm looking forward to the weekend. That's right, that was a Rebecca Black reference. I'm looking forward to the feedback for this episode, because we know, or we knew earlier this episode even, that changes would have to be made, but maybe, just maybe, changes, and not just changes, but major changes, will have to be made much, much sooner. So let me know what you guys think, as the last thing I'm going to do here is actually just try to make sure that we can get Pandolfo back. I might have to offer him a little bit more, but we might as well make sure that we can take care of that. And screw it, we might as well find out what spot we're going to have in the draft. I'm not going to go through the draft because, again, I might be making trades at the draft. Now, typically, I wouldn't like to make trades at the draft, because if I'm going to get a draft pick in a normal series, sure, I won't make a trade in the regular season. I want to know exactly what I'm getting. In this series, though, I find it to be a little bit more dramatic to have to trade for the pick before the, like at the start of the season, before we know the result of the lottery. Like, that's the goal. And I'd kind of prefer to keep it that way. Now, of course, the team will still be intact, so we could wait to do that, but I don't know. I honestly, I know I need to look at the awards as well. I cannot believe that just happened again. Nashville's one thing, Arizona, it's another. Again, you see the incredibly talented goaltenders that are in our division. It's not all that surprising, as Pittsburgh have now won back-to-back cups. Washington, Nashville, Pittsburgh. And they also won the President's Trophy. Art Ross went to D'Agostini. Lilia won the Hart. Anybody here? Any familiar names? Nope, not at all. Except for Reginald Pecker. That name kind of haunts us a little bit. Interested to be haunted by a Pecker, but hey, to each their own. That'll do it for this one. That'll do it. As we end yet another episode, as the Sharks lost in Game 7. The Sharks did beat Arizona in 6 games in the second round. As yet another episode ends with a little bit of a somber tone and a lot more disappointment. I look forward to your suggestions and your feedback on what you think we should do. We do have the 6th overall pick in the upcoming draft, thanks to that trade with Detroit, of course, trading away Norena. Which, in fairness, might have been a mistake. Not that trading away Brooks, keeping Brooks was a decent idea, but there's an argument to be made that maybe now is the right time to cash in or cash out on Brodin's value. So maybe that 6th pick will be a goaltender. We'll find out. Guys, I thank you for your support as always with this series and with everything related to both my channel here on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and hopefully, one way or another, the next episode we start heading down the right path to be able to end these particular episodes in a more positive light. Have a good one, and I'll catch you next time.